Welcome to Blow Me Parker, a wine appreciation show for the people. This was originally envisioned as a segment on our flagship production, hashtag 15 years, but has grown into its very own show. And why is it called Blow Me Parker, Gordon?
Well, Kevin, Robert Parker is the preeminent wine critic in the world today. He invented the 100-point grading system for wines, and while there'll always be disagreements about wines, there are plenty of people, including us, who generally consider his reviews to be good, solid information. That being said, Robert Parker is still a critic, and there are a lot of people around the world, including, again, moi, which, by the way, is spelled with an S, that's plural from moi. There are a lot of people
little French on the show,
French,
a little class here.
That a lot of wineries are actually changing their wines to try and get Robert Parker's approval and get a higher rating. And when that happens, we have to say,
Blow me, Parker. Now, for an example of this, there are some critics of his style of wines, or what they think is the way that he drives wineries towards his style of big fruit bombs. It's called In Pursuit of Balance, mostly some winemakers that want more restrained wines from California.
Simpler wines, not big alcohol, big fruit, simpler wines.
Parker's response, this was in the New York Times, an article called The Wrath of Grapes.
It's classic. What did he say,
Parker
Kevin?
said,
Read it, Kevin.
The jihadist movements of non-sulfured wines, green underripe wines, low alcohol, insipid stuff promoted by the anti-pleasure police and neo-anti-alcohol proponents has run its course as just another extreme and useless movement few people care about.
Harsh.
Again, only one response to that. Blow me, Parker.
Here on Blow Me Parker, we're going to be reviewing the ever-growing and exciting world of wine. We're going to be looking at wines that are in the price brackets for people like us, ordinary people to afford. And we're also going to be looking at wines from regions that a lot of people don't know about, like the Finger Lakes, like Virginia, even like Maryland.
A lot of places we think are underappreciated. Even here, Lake Champlain, they're making some excellent wines, somewhat similar to the Finger Lakes over in New York, but a little bit distinctive as well. We hope you'll join us and hope you will join in our sharing the pleasure of sharing the people's knowledge of wine. This is not about wine snobbery at all. It's the opposite of that. It's about sharing our joy in what we know, and hopefully others will appreciate it too.
Hear, hear.
Here we are at beautiful Lamoureux Landing.
Beautiful. Southeast part of Seneca Lake.
The so-called banana belt, because it stays just a little bit warmer. Just a little bit warmer. So this is by many considered to be the premier wine grape growing area in the Finger Lakes, but there's a lot of competition for that award. Lamoureux Landing, one of our favorites. Excellent whites, terrific reds as well. I had a Pinot Noir there the other night. Delicious.
And certainly out to the lake as well.
Well, if I'm talking about the lake, I'll certainly look out there.
Okay.
All right, we're rolling.
Well, here, our first segment of Blow Me Parker, we are at the wonderful Lamoureux Landing Vineyards on beautiful Seneca Lake. We're with Kevin Butler.
Hello.
Who's been working here for how many years, Kevin?
About 4 years now.
4 years, excellent. You can see behind us. Do you want to tell us what we're looking at, Kevin? It is spectacular.
So this is one of our 23 vineyards out here, and we're very proud of our view of the lake. We have the longest view of any lake in the Finger Lakes, because most lake wineries are looking west or east. We actually have the whole north exposure here, which is 25 miles. That's Geneva at the very end of the lake. Clear days, you can see Ramada Inn from there, and it is 25 miles to Ramada Inn directly.
And this is one of the best areas for growing wine grapes, we believe, in the Finger Lakes. Do you want to tell us why this area is so special?
There's several reasons. One is when these were glacier-driven lakes here, they left deep pockets for the water to fill in. The depth of the water and the slopes are two big important factors for raising good grapes. West wind coming across that deep lake protects us in the winter, which is good. You don't lose your grapes, but also you get a longer growing season in the fall. The warmth off that lake helps us maybe keep another picking a little bit longer than our competition. We can get better development of the grapes. That does help. But the real big reason, other than winter protection, is the minerality of the soil. Glaciers, as the ice was melting, they left different soil contents, nutrients from the different parts of the country up there, and the top of the continent. So you have diversity, a whole quilt of different varieties of soil here.
That's what's fascinating to me. And then they do experiment and say, well, you know, this soil's more mineral, so we want to try the Gewürztraminer there or the Riesling. Or that just seems like a lot of fun to do that kind of experimentation.
That's correct, and that's why our single vineyards are rated in the top 20 in the world, because we can take the same exact grape, plant it down the road a mile or a half a mile or maybe 100 yards, and have a total different taste of the grape. The finish is totally different because of minerality difference just down the road.
That's so much fun. I love that.
And speaking of drinking, we are tasting what many consider the signature varietal of the Finger Lakes. And what would that be, Ken?
That would be the dry Riesling. Dry Riesling, so when the Winifred grapes were started and people were doing Chardonnays to make the sparkling stuff for the corporate wineries, one of the first wines when the 76 state laws changed and opened up the wineries for state wineries, people started putting in Rieslings because of the similarity to the German climate. And it's always been a signature grape, and we've won, our dry Riesling has always been one of the tops in New York State.
That's fantastic. I think we should be toasting and having a sip while we're saying those
there
things
you
about
go.
Riesling.
And which one was this again?
This is the dry Riesling.
Okay, we'll edit that part out.
Would have to happen on camera. Would have to happen
We'll edit that part out.
Where's he going to spit?
Yes, that's true. We're missing the spit bucket. That's why I choked. I drank too much. I couldn't spit. So, what was the other question I wanted to ask you? We believe that there are a lot of areas of wine and types of wine that are not appreciated, and Kevin and I have always believed that, in fact, Finger Lake wines are not appreciated as much as they should be. What's your take on that?
Right. People have a stigma, especially if you're out of the country or out west. They think reds aren't going to do it for a New York State wine, they come for their Rieslings. But quite often we'll get our customers to come in, they're from Napa Valley, heard about the Finger Lakes being so popular, they come just to try the whites. We quite often get them to do the reds, and they find out how good they really are. It's not a West Coast red, total different taste, but they're really enjoyable, a lot of flavor. Don't get that fuzzy tongue like you do on a West Coast red sometimes, but it's people are very good, loving it, and it's so popular.
We were just having a fantastic Pinot Noir in there you make. What other varietals do you do?
So we do our Cab Franc, we do Cab Sauvignon, and we do our Merlot.
And a great Bordeaux style blend.
Right.
I have to say, the reds, so I've been coming to the Finger Lakes for about 10 years, and I think the reds are getting stronger and stronger all the time. And recently, the last few days at a few different wineries, I've had outstanding Pinot Noirs, and I had just been out in Santa Barbara. And of course, it's gorgeous there, but the Pinot Noirs are these big, fat cherry bombs, really expensive. And I like the Pinots here. They're more restrained, more Burgundian, more, European style. So it's different. It's, like, what do you like better or for a particular occasion? I think the reds here are getting
they're
outstanding.
They're absolutely delicious. Yep. And for anyone who's coming up to the Finger Lakes, we absolutely recommend Lamoureux Landing, one of our favorite wineries here, and winner of many awards, right?
That's right. We've won Winer of the Year 3 years. Right now we have 3 wines that are in the top 20 in the world. The Bordeaux we were speaking of, we call our 76 West, which is the Meritage blend. That was our 2010 vintage, was rated in the top 50 in the world for all Bordeaux blends.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Well, to Lamoureux Landing
right.
and the Finger Lakes.
Thank
you
you
so
for
much,
visiting.
Kevin.
Thank you,
For
Kevin.
bringing your friends.
Thanks.
Here we are still at Lamoureux Landing, looking up the lakes, Seneca Lake, towards Lodi Point. Dave, what do you think of the wine so far here at Lamoureux Landing?
Incredible. It's getting me drunk quickly. I know that much. I do not have a tolerance, but it's so good. I'm definitely going to buy a bottle.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Now it's time on Blow Me Parker to taste one of our favorites, a Lamoureux Landing Riesling from, where is it, Gordon?
Seneca, in the Lake Seneca in the Finger Lakes.
But we're not at Lake Seneca
Is this
now,
a Finger
are we?
Lake?
No,
Is this not a Finger Lake? No.
We're in beautiful St. Albans, Vermont, on the shores of lovely Lake Champlain.
It is gorgeous.
For this special hybrid edition of Blow Me Parker, Finger Lakes / Lake Champlain.
Why would that be, Kevin?
When we were in the Finger Lakes, we had a real tight production schedule, so we didn't get to do our outdoor tasting, but we're doing it tonight on a beautiful, lovely evening at sunset in front of a gorgeous lake. We're trying one of our favorite wines, a Riesling, a dry Riesling from the Finger Lakes, a single vineyard Lamoureux Landing.
Riesling, of course, one of the big wines grown in the Finger Lakes regions. Lamoureux Landing does some of the best. This is a beautiful wine. It's got crisp, racy acidity, Lovely mouthfeel, lots of different flavors going on, a lot of lime, a lot of citrus. Kevin, what do you think of the wine?
Beautiful color.
Really, straw green color, I love that.
You definitely get the minerality on the notes, the peach stone fruit, and on the taste, it's got a really nice body for a white wine. Long finish, the acidity comes to the front of your tongue and your front of your teeth. It's a little chewy. It's a really substantive wine.
Can't add to that. I will note, though, for the budget-minded consumer, and that's us, Lambertville Landing does a full range of prices. Their opening bottle of Riesling is, I believe, $12 or $13 a bottle. Even the single vineyard is only $19.99, which is an extremely reasonable price for the quality.
That's really chewy. It's really a mouthful. Really delicious.
The Lambertville Landing Riesling.
Lambertville Landing.
Well, then you getting?
Yeah?
Huh? You getting both of us? Or just me?
You can't really get. I do have you both, but Gordon, if you could move just a skosh over. Oh, you're very close to the table
So
now.
what's
Okay.
your name? Gordon?
Okay.
Gordon.
Okay. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Kevin.
Kevin.
All right.
Let us know when you're going.
We're going.
Great. We are very lucky to have here today the founder and proprietor of Shalestone Vineyards in the Finger Lakes, Mr. Rob Thomas, who also has been making wine in the Finger Lakes for a lot of years and has been very influential in the growth of what is called the Banana Belt. Tell us a little bit about your own winemaking history here, and what is the Banana Belt, and why is that significant to wines in Seneca?
Well, the Banana Belt is where there are no bananas. And, it's a stretch of Seneca Lake. It's near the deepest part of the lake, and it's the east side of the lake. The climate, the microclimate here is just a touch warmer than the other side of the lake in the north and the south. So we can get by with growing some of the more warm climate grapes, and we can get the nice rich and full body character that is a little more difficult to do in most of the Finger Lakes. So if you come and visit this region, like there's more depth and structure to the wines, I think, and that's what I always try to focus on, because I have this great niche right here.
Great. One of the things that's unique about Shalestone is that you do only red in a region that's known predominantly for white, although, as Kevin keeps saying, the reds are up and coming all the time.
They are.
What was your decision about focusing on red wines here?
Well, the main thing is I'm not like everybody else, and so it made sense to make red wine in the white wine region. But no, my passion is red wine. That's what I drink most all the time. There's a layer of complexity and depth in red wine you can't get in whites. And I also, when I bought my property way back in the late 70s, intuitively I thought it might be good for red grapes based on no data. That was purely farmers' intuition. So what I did was planted experimentally red grapes down my farm, down very close to the lake. And from what I made in the early days, the wines just seemed to have really nice tannins and texture compared to anywhere else around here. So I decided to focus.
And was that several years of experimenting, or?
It was probably 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah, before I decided to take this to the business level. And so that's how that evolved. I was fortunate to buy this piece of property that has this essence to be able to grow the grapes. I wouldn't have my business if I didn't have this vineyard here. It's really important. So yeah, that's the essence of why I'm here. I love what I do. I love making wine. I love growing grapes. It's my connection to the earth. My conduit to the earth is the grapevine. So when you're out in the field, it's like you talk to any grower, there's communication going on, and there's a lot of hand touchy-feely things you do with the vines, especially pruning and manipulating crop loads and stuff. So, and then every year the vines come back. They give you fruit at the end of the year, and then the next year you regenerate them to do it all over again. But each year you learn something from the vines, and hopefully you teach the vines something, so that you develop this relationship, so that you work together and you both stay in balance.
Nice.
And it's the real key to life.
Are we on?
Well, we really enjoyed that visit to Shalestone. They are making some incredible world-class reds in a region that's only really known for whites. What did you think of that visit with Rob, Gordon?
Fantastic time. I hope you enjoyed the interview as much as listening to the interview as much as we did giving
They actually
it.
watched it because
and
this is a
listening.
TV show. This is a web show. They didn't just
So
listen.
they actually
They
saw it.
saw it.
You're right.
They
You're
saw
right.
the show.
Well, I'm not sure. I thought maybe some people sped to the end just to see our
Podcast?
segment.
We're already
because who knows?
podcasting. We're already
Because who
podcasting.
knows? But he's just a brilliant man, and it comes through in his wines and his approach to life, you know, and his pursuit of balance. Not to overuse that phrase, it comes to life in his wines, including the one we're drinking right now, which is their 2014, I believe, Pinot Noir.
I thought it was a 13, actually, wasn't it? 13, yes.
2013. There's the bottle.
2013. There you go. Shalestone Vineyard.
It is amazing to me. There are so many things going on in a good wine. It is so complex. There's, you know, velvety mouthfeel to it. There's rich fruit flavors. There's wonderful long finish, and this haunting, what's his name, Miles in Sideways, you know, gave the speech about the Pinot Noir and the haunting flavor of that grape, which I think has been captured perfectly in this Shalestone Pinot Noir.
I also think, as we were talking with Rob, it's very Burgundian in style. Also, like he said, you don't need food. It's so well balanced. And this is only 2013. They're putting out a reserve Pinot Noir for the first time, and I can't wait. It's coming out in a couple months.
We tasted it during the interview. We got to drink it.
Not on camera. We tasted it after the interview.
Yeah, so we have no proof. We actually have no visual
But it
proof.
was amazing.
Unbelievably good Pinot Noir.
Well, and also
Very
Rob,
Burgundian.
when we complimented him, he was really excited because he's so nose to the grindstone and he's so focused on what he's doing there and what happens in the Finger Lakes. He didn't even have any concept, and he loved hearing from us that we thought it was sort of Burgundian and had even an Oregon Pinot Noir style where you have both the big fruit of the California New World and the more restrained Burgundy. As you said, this could be a Bourgogne or a Village. It could be a New Saint Georges. I don't know what you think it could be.
It could be one of those. It's a rich, rich wine, delicious wine, lots of character, deep. To think that it comes from upstate New York. I mean, when I was growing up, upstate New York was like Taylor. It was like, you know, sugary sweet wines. This is pretty close to perfection in a glass, don't you think?
Sure do. Again, we highly recommend going to the Finger Lakes. There's
Shalestone.
dozens of wineries. We didn't even scratch the surface in this special edition of Lonely Parker. Shalestone, incredible. One of our favorites. Cheers.
And to our viewers,
Salute.
cheers.
That might be
That
all right.
wasn't so hard.